Jack hasn't had much time to grieve over his father, John, since the ambush on the way back from Bosman, since he's been focused on making sure that his fiancée Elizabeth doesn't die as well. When he finally leaves her side, he checks on his great-uncle Jacob, Harrison Ford, to see how he is doing since he too suffered from some very bad wounds. The camera lingers on Jack's face as he observes Jacob through the doorway, and we can tell that his attitude is not one of pity or even admiration for Jacob's fortitude. He did survive multiple gunshot wounds. Instead, it's a concoction of regret and bitterness. Does Jack hold Jacob responsible for bringing war to their front door? They could have avoided much pain if Jacob had simply hanged Banner Creighton and the others who attacked them in episode 2. John and Elizabeth's father would also still be alive. The reason Jacob gave Creighton a chance to survive, as he later revealed to a dubious Jack, was so that he could tell people about how powerful the Duttons are. Has Jack lost faith in Jacob's management style, now that that particular strategy has disastrously backfired? For the time being, it appears that he wants to continue fighting for it, because he was eager to go steal back the cattle that Creighton had taken. Could Jack and Elizabeth, however, ultimately opt to leave the ranch in favor of a quiet life? In this episode, there were further hints regarding the origins of the contemporary Dutton family. Spencer and Alex decide to read all of Spencer's unread letters from his family in Montana when they sit down to do so. They decide to do so with a little liquid courage. They appear to be utilizing the same elaborately crafted whiskey tumblers and matching crystal decanter that Yellowstone viewers have lately seen in action. In the 7th episode of the most recent season, John Dutton, Kevin Costner, would just learn that his herd had contracted the terrible disease brucellosis, nearly broke the decanter when he returned home in a rage. From the couch, Beth Kelly Riley remarks, "That is 100 years old and belonged to your grandfather. Break another object." Although Beth's remark didn't seem significant at the time, it now seems to corroborate a theory that 1923 viewers have been speculating about for a while. John Dutton III is a descendant of Spencer. It appears that Alex is going to give birth to a baby who will be named John II, possibly in memory of John I, who was slain in the brutal struggle in last week's episode, unless Spencer subsequently gives the crystal decanter and glasses to his nephew Jack, Darren Mann. One of Kara's letters reveals that John and Emma had another kid at some point while Spencer was gone, but the child tragically died early. Emma was broken, but John stood by her side the entire day until she dared to face the sun once again. Alex reads the letter, which also stated that Emma was past the point of trying for another child. The letter added, "God desired her only one, but what a special one he is," referring to Jack, the son of John and Emma. Although the baby's name isn't spoken, viewers may have noticed it on the Dutton family gravestone in Yellowstone, despite the fact that the baby is unnamed. Many gravestones with names that have not yet been given an explanation, like those for Michael Dutton, Patience Dutton, Chance Dutton, and Ned Dutton, have been spotted by spectators over the years. We might discover more about this tragedy and how it affected the family later on in the episode. Even though Tiona, like the other Native American characters in the Yellowstone universe, is from the fictitious Broken Rock tribe, just like in many actual indigenous groups, Hare is revered and is connected to her cultural identity. Therefore, it is not surprise that the nuns in charge of the government-funded boarding school start by stripping Tina of her individuality, starting with chopping off her long, dark, plaited hair in order to start protecting her from her savage spirit. It's difficult to avoid recalling the scene from the most recent season of Yellowstone, in which Monica shaved her own hair off to express her grief over the loss of her newborn son. Tina, however, has reached her breaking point because this has been done against her choice. Later that evening, she makes the decision to finally leave the school, and since her hair is no longer, she decides to arm herself with war paint, another form of creative expression that ties her to her neighborhood. This is drawn across her face as she gathers the courage to extract Sister Mary's vengeance before fleeing into the night.